What's up, y'all? Welcome to my channel. It's just Rhonda over here. And you know what we're here to do? Discuss love and marriage, Huntsville. Y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into the things that are the things. Who we got over here saying what's up? Renor, Reno. Listen, this is what I like to do over here. Hello. This is what I like to do over here because, my eyes are bad and, so I can't hardly see these names and y'all are very creative. So, Renor. Let me know if that's cool and we can continue with, regularly scheduled programming. What's up, y'all? Here I am. I'm not hiding behind my avatar. That's what I do in the morning. You know what? If y'all haven't checked out Morning Talk or Coffee Talk, they start at 10 o'clock every Monday through Thursday. If y'all haven't checked it out, you need to slide over there because we have a lot of fun over there. We get into the conversations that are the things, but I generally don't like, I don't pop out anymore because it's in the morning and we at work. So, my coffee talks are more conversation. Let's get into this conversation over here, y'all. So the show picks up with Taco Tuesdays. Where they at? Here they are. These ladies are still over here having a discussion. Destiny and Tisha are going back and forth. And Tisha doesn't know why. She's going back and forth with Destiny. She doesn't remember what Destiny said. She just remembers how she felt. And I don't know how that works, but it's okay. She don't have to explain it because here come Kimmy with her Scott cape on. She got to protect all Scots at all costs. And Destiny, you're getting too involved over here in Tisha's feelings. So, Kimmy had to come protect her. Listen, Kimmy wants to know if it was okay for Nell to say what she said. And Destiny was like, I never said it was okay for Nell to say what she said. And what is it that she said, Kimmy? She said it was not okay for Nell to tell Tisha to worry about her husband in that situation. And I'm like, here we go. This bothers Kimmy, not because she's concerned about Tisha's feelings, because Kimmy don't care nothing about Keisha's feelings either, Tisha's feelings. She's upset because Nell brought up about their husbands bending that lady over by the chair down to the credit one or wherever chairs they was at, bending that lady over with, allegedly, according to Martell. He did a whole video about it, him and his sidekick, Slow Coleslaw. They went over there, they made a whole video because, Martell was mad at the Scots, and we know how it all, spilled out all over down to Destiny's family field day, where Martell was saying that Tisha, was down to the car having sex with somebody, called this man's wife a nasty woman. Nell brought it up because it needed to be brought up. Point blank, period. Kimmy is mad because, Maurice was brought up in that conversation, and we don't talk about Maurice over here. You know what I'm saying? What we do is protect Maurice and make sure that everybody knows that the things he says is not to be mean, but only because he thinks he's funny. So I feel like Kimmy and Tisha are more mad at Miss Nell than they are at Martell, who was the one that, started that whole thing, I feel like. Anyway, Kimmy ain't like Miss Nell, from before, down to the resort in the Bahamas. So there's that. Kimmy asked Destiny if she told Nell that she was wrong, and Destiny was like, yeah. And so now they sitting here looking a fool. They sitting here looking crazy because how do you, she said yeah. So where do we go from here? Tisha is determined to be mad, so she's not giving up any forgiveness. And Kimmy thinks that there needs to be ownership in regards to these friendships. What does that mean? Who is she talking about? The lady said, yes, I told Miss Nell that she was wrong. Now, would you like somebody to verify that before you're okay with it? Or are we just going to accept what she's saying? But I'm not sure what the ownership is that needs to be taken over here with this friendship. They're reluctant. They agree to, move on. Okay, so are we done with this? We're going to move on. Yeah, we're gonna move on. But Tisha said, yeah, I'll move on, but I'm gonna put Destiny in the I don't trust that whole box. Everybody got their own box, and that's the box Destiny is going in. And Destiny laughed it off. She said there's some truth to every joke. That didn't sound like no joke to me. She said she called you a hoe and that you can't trust. Now you was over here dating around all the men in the same friend group. I'm not calling Destiny a hoe. Destiny a hoe. That's what Tisha said. Her friend Kimmy. Was it out of line for your friend to call Destiny a hoe? Just wondering, just asking for a friend. Tisha keeps saying she's a loyal person. I'm a loyal person and I don't want to be hurt. Are there any actual examples of Tisha being loyal? I don't believe I've seen it. I don't know that I can remember any time Tisha has been a loyal friend. Tisha is a spoiled brat that expects her friends to not be friends that people that she doesn't like. And she doesn't really have any friends. So if I'm not friends with people you don't like, I won't have no friends either, Tisha. You and Miss Wanda, they fake hug it out. And keep talking behind each other's back. Like sooner than they hug each other, then they in the confessionals. I don't trust the bitch. Like we just gonna have to see how she moves. That's Tisha. Um, Destiny lets them know that she's found some siblings that have been adopted out in the system. So she's gonna go to Detroit and she's gonna meet them. And Tisha's like, well, if you need us to go and hold your hand, we'll be glad to support you. She don't. She was like, well, but Marceau is from the Pontiac. What is you stuttering for? All of a sudden, you can't remember Marcel's name. She don't want y'all to go, but I guess we're filming. We're filming in Detroit this season. That's gonna make this thing so exciting, I suppose. Um, yeah. So that's how they ended that. These people are not friends. They don't. None of them. Kimmy don't like Tisha. Tisha really don't like Kimmy. Destiny don't like either one of these girls, but they're on the show. So, they had to. This is what happens when you forge a friendship out of hate for another person. It's never genuine. It's always going to fall apart because the two people that forge this fake friendship are eventually going to turn on each other. It's happening over there, Bell Collective. There's a lot of comparisons between Bell Collective and this show. And I think it's just the terrible marriages that everybody happens to be in. So there's that. This was probably my favorite scene, honestly, of the whole show. So Nell goes over to the daycare and she has a conversation with her daughter Kayla. Kayla, Kayla works there. So hey Pack, welcome to the chat. Her daughter works there. She's familiar with the business. I love this. I love the fact that Kayla, because honestly, you can have 10 children and none of them want to do what the family business is. So you're lucky when you have one that's interested. Kayla is the only child that's not stressing her mama out. And the fact that it's the daughter doesn't surprise me at all. But this Miss Nell kind of had me over here with my eyes leaking. It was so heartfelt. Kayla works there, like I said, and right now she's the temporary project. What is it? Project director? Whatever the title is. Kayla is running everything over there. She understands like all the pressure that her mama is under. She sees what's going on over there. I feel like people are lacking sympathy. This is just me. Everybody has their own opinion. People are lacking sympathy for Miss Nell because she's a pop-off. So when you're a pop-off, people try to act like everything that you're going through is just you being and doing too much, when that's not necessarily the case. I think the Fletcher should be given an 8-episode season running 30 minutes long. That's not a bad idea. Just a little yang, you know what I'm saying? Because, they keep saying that these people aren't being transparent. And I feel like they are. So, there's that. And I think the things that Miss Nell was over here trying to protect was business that wasn't hers. That was her son's business to tell. And, your work person is seeing your son, and that's a, conundrum to find yourself in. But I feel like Miss Nell's her interaction with her daughter is completely different than the son's. I think it's cool that, her daughter is learning the business and is happy to help her mother run it. She has to like it, you know what I'm saying? Because otherwise she wouldn't, be 10 toes down. So Lance, let's talk about Lance. Lance be over here dropping them kids over at Miss Nell's house and not picking them up when he said he is taking advantage of the situation. And if Miss Nell is not available, then he over here calling his sister Kayla. Kayla said, I ain't got no kids. And I work a full-time job. Miss Nell was like trying to make sure that the added responsibility, I think, program director, that's the title. She was trying to make sure the additional responsibilities weren't too much for her daughter. I feel like, Nell, how about this? Why don't you continue to train Kayla to be the program director? She could make a little bit more money. Then you could just hire somebody else to run the front desk and everything. You know what I'm saying? That way your business is in the hands of somebody that you can trust. You could for real, because she seems like she's got it under control. And Nell's like, if you ever feel overwhelmed, just let me know. So yeah, I like I was saying before, I think they meaning the people that see, because I hear a lot of, oh my God, Fletcher is taking care of the family and she can't hold it down while her husband lost his job. And this is how I feel about that. First of all, she's a grandmother whose kids, sons are dropping them kids over there, while she's trying to open a new business. And now her father is there as a caregiver. People are like, why is she taking all that on? What are you supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Because I think Chris kids probably be with his mom, daughter, whatever, child, probably be with the mother all the time. Lance has multiple children. I don't know how many baby mamas or what Lance's thing is, but we know Lance is out here in these streets trying to get over to happy hour, bringing home other women with children of their own. So Lance, get the hell out of here with that. Chris Fletcher did not just lose his job. Chris Fletcher did a whole bunch of fraudulent shit. So I was just minding my business, scrolling down my Facebook feed, and I ran across this. So I was like, let me share this with my people so we can see what exactly, because there's a lot of confusion as to what Chris Fletcher was doing. But licensing and things are public record. So I'm going to make sure, because I'll be over here doing a damn thing and y'all can't see or hear what I'm doing. So let me just make sure. I'm gonna turn on my I'm gonna turn YouTube on my phone so I can see, what's going on. If I can, things keep popping up. Do your people be messaging you all day? It's okay, because that's how we show love to each other these days. Nowadays, you show love to each other by memes and things. So of course, it's going to be difficult. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Yep, I see Chris Fletcher. There we go. So let's get into some of the things I saw over here because somebody posted his public records. Chris Levon Fletcher, license status revoked, associate broker. That's what his title was. Originally issued in June of 2019. So it's not even really big. Maybe he's been a realtor, but he's only had his broker's license for the last 5 years. But I mean, still, that's, Now, he renewed in 24, renewal issues. So he wasn't supposed to expire. He's supposed to be actually carrying a valid license, but it's revoked. Why? Well, there's a number of reasons. And this hearing date was on the 20th. So he just had this hearing date. No, he hasn't had it yet. The 20th. So this is what's coming up. So I guess, we'll keep our ears to the streets and see what happened. 320, he got 5 days. Found guilty, fined $2,500. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 actions against his license. So what was he over here doing? this language, section language, engage in misrepresentation or dishonest, fraudulent act when selling, buying, trading, or renting rental property of his own or of his spouse or child or parent. So, listen, I came up with a theory. I'm just saying this is just in my mind. When Martell was over there renting that house, you know what I'm saying, and caused him problems. What happened while he was over there? Failure to disburse earnest money to the designated customer after a written agreement was signed by both parties of the sale transaction. So, and that's 2,500. Just one count. So let's read that again. Failed to disburse earnest money. So whoever the money was supposed to go, the earnest money, the down payment was supposed to go, he didn't disperse it in a timely manner with the people that were signed on that paper. So, like I said, I could be completely wrong. But what if Martell got in that house, refused to get out, and then people asked for their money back, and Chris had, wasn't able to do it? What if, and like I said, this is not like what happened necessarily. This is just in my head. What if Chris Fletcher took that money to get that little house that Martell has over there that he's been pretending like he's setting the Ariane up in, or whatever they're doing over there, to get him out of that house? But by the time he did all that, it was too late. I don't know what Chris Fletcher was over there doing with that earnest money, but he failed to disperse it to the designated customer after a written agreement. Next thing, failed within a reasonable time to provide information requested by the commission, investigator, and auditor. So, the people told on him and he couldn't provide the information. You know what I'm saying? Doing a favor for a friend. That's what he said he was doing. I'm just saying. Changed the address of his place of business and failed to notify the commission in writing within 30 days. Now that's just lazy. Why wouldn't you do that? Seems like you need a director. Why wouldn't you tell the commission, where your license, where your business is? It just seems like when you move somewhere, there's certain things that are just supposed to be handled. That's raggedy, Chris Fletcher. Failed to have a place of business that meets the requirements for a place of business. Well, where was he? Did he close the business and he was just working from out of nowhere, out the house? So y'all want to act like Nell don't have no reason to be pissed off because her husband was over here? Exactly, Pac. That's why she's so mad, because he over here doing all this foolish stuff. And I feel like men have a tendency to, act like they got everything under control, which is pissing her off, because if you would talk to your wife, y'all could figure out something. But you want to act like you got it all. Acting like you got it all together is whack. Whackity whack whack. So Chris Fletcher, yeah, I see why Nell is pissed off. And everybody's like, she ain't trying to hold her husband down. That's not what I see. I see a wife who has essentially been lied to. And now you're coming over here with not the money that, we have been using in order to pay our bills and things. And you acting like, you said out of your mouth, there is no plan. The plan is to take over half my business, find another plan. So I'm right here with you, with Kayla, Miss Nell. I think they're underestimating. And if you have ever been a caregiver for a parent, honey, it's a whole nother level. When I was taking care of my mother, and people would be like, oh my God, you're just doing such a great thing. And I felt like y'all are giving me kudos for doing what I'm supposed to do. My mother, her health is declining. As her daughter, as her child, I'm supposed to do it. My sister lived in Michigan. So the day-to-day was, here. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad Miss Nell has Kayla there that has her back, because these brothers is going to jail, getting in trouble, costing her money, over here making babies here and there, and then dropping them over at her house. So I think they need to tell Lance to piss off. You want to go to the bar, then you need to find a babysitter, because this ain't it. Kayla's like, I feel like y'all gonna be exhausted of grandchildren by the time I have kids. Remember, Lexi said that Miss Nell paid Chris unpaid child support so he wouldn't go to jail. Well, Miss Nell, that's on you, because I'll be damned. But you know, Pac, I will never matrimony myself to anyone. So if you've got child support to pay, that's on you to handle. Won't come out of my pockets. That's that on that. And if that and that's not supporting her man, because it seemed like that is, seemed like she's held him down before. Child. Anyway, I don't feel like she's looking for her husband to spaz out. You know, he's calm. That's how he's always handled things. And then they reference the businesses and the properties that they own. Clearly, those businesses and properties that they own are already a part of the functioning wheel that takes care of, you know, so when one of these kids need $5,000, you know, it's coming from other places. So, yeah, I don't think she's looking for her husband to spaz out and act a fool. We know she's a pop-off, so I don't think that's what she's looking for. I think she's looking for him to have a plan and say, okay, this is how long this is going to take. And then she's probably looking at that list of things just like we are, like, well, so what the hell were you doing? What possessed you to do that? Because now, as your wife, I'm questioning your ethics, and that don't make me feel good. That doesn't make me feel good to think my husband is out here working in an unethical manner. It's making us, you talk about pillar of the community, there's cracks in your pillar, Chris Fletcher. Whew. Where else, y'all? So Destiny goes to visit Trish in her house where Ken doesn't live, which is part of, you know, the problems. He claims that that's a nice ass house, and Trish over there by herself for her 2 kids, and he talking about he pay all the bills. Well, she living in the house, and y'all were not matrimony together, so that don't even make sense. If that was your house, Ken, then I guess you would still be living there and not staying up under what's this nigga Will. Anyway, we ain't seen Destiny's house. Trish films at her house all the time, and so does now Fletcher. Now, no. Anyway, Destiny over here, we don't see her house, we don't see Martell's house, but we see this lovely house where Trish and her children live without Ken. Destiny is telling her about, you know, what happened at Taco Tuesday and, you know, what was said between this one and that one. And I feel like Trish is committed to staying neutral, and I don't blame her. You can't trust, put all them hoes in the box where you can't trust Trisha, because Destiny can't be trusted. Trish, what's her name? Tisha can't be trusted, and Kimmy can't be trusted either, because she's going to go, even if she knows that the situation is dead wrong with whatever Maurice says, because at this point, she's got to placate Maurice, keep him happy, in case he decides to leave, instead of like open it, come pick up your clothes. I have them folded. That's what she need to tell that nigga, but that's none of my business. Anyway, Destiny asked her about Ken, and she said her and Ken have been on a rough patch for about 6 or 7 months. Now, I know time is flying by. I feel like, you know, if you watch this show, then you have to keep up with the blogs, because that's how it works over here. So I feel like over the course of time, us Love in Huntsville, you know, community, we have heard all the rumors in the street about how they were going through a divorce. Destiny said they not divorced. So if they are divorced, they weren't during this time. So they keep saying, you know, that they're divorced, but clearly seems like they're not. And based on what we've seen today, I feel like I understand why she's not in any rush to divorce Marquez. But anyway, they've been having a 7-month rough patch. And Destiny said one day they good, one day they not good. So she just go with that. And I'm like, yeah, that's how rough patches are in relationships. When you're on a rough patch, you like this nigga one day, then you don't the next day. And that's why you keep staying together, because of those days in between the rough patches. They be patches. It's not just a rough road. Seems like the road got rough. but it's a rough patch. So, that's when you be on your in and out of it until you figure it out. So, Destiny doesn't know that because I don't know what she be doing. She be in and she be out real fast. And her boyfriend's relationships be, long distance or all in the same friend group. I don't know what Destiny be doing. Um, Trish said that they've been seeing Dr. Francis. She went to visit Dr. Francis. She had one visit with Dr. Francis. They haven't gone yet, but that's the plan. And Destiny asked her, what did she learn? And she said she's learned to listen more without, snapping. And I'm going to give her that because she had an answer. A lot of times when people are talking like my therapist, you could tell that they haven't really been seeing a therapist because they can't tell you like where they're at, what lesson they're learning. So right now, Trish is in this mode where she's trying not to react. She's trying to listen. And I don't think it means just with Ken. I think that's what she does. With her children, probably with the people around her. And so if she's actively doing that, then good for her. I don't think she needs Ken in her therapy. I think what Trisha needs is therapy for herself. I think she needs a whole lot of self right now. And that's because people like that go from one relationship straight into another one don't ever really give themselves time to get grounded. She still got Marquez coming in through like disrupting her relationship. And based on the way Ken came through, you got big chocolate muscle man and you get light-skinned green-eyed guy. So everybody be out here be talking about how fine they both are. I guess it depends on what you like. Ken is far too big for me. He looks like he's going to explode all over everything. So I'm not the Incredible Hulk vibe. And Marquez, I'm not somebody who's infatuated with green eyes. My brother and my sister both had green eyes. So for me, it's like, I guess, it's not so exotic, and he's kind of pipsqueak. So he's entertaining though. I'll tell you what. And he came through there in like a little fly buzzing around, mosquito buzzing around, poking Ken and poking Ken and poking Ken, and the muscle man, it's exploded. Remember when SpongeBob had all the muscles and he just, kind of melted? That's what Ken is. That's what happening to him right now. Who's the buyer? Who is the buyer for the big square house that Marcel built? Do y'all like that house? Look at them standing there. I feel like Marcel thinks he's just done such a great thing, as a builder. I am not impressed. This house has no character whatsoever. It's a big square box in the middle of a neighborhood of homes that look like brick homes, like, more traditional. It's just kind of weird. And there's no character on the inside. Right now, these two clowns are standing on astroturf, artificial grass, inside the, screening porch. Whose idea was this? Marcel, we don't want art. You could have just ran the floor all the way out there or put some type of, black flooring maybe out there to give it a little outside vibe. I'm looking at a sterile white building with everything black trimmed on it for $610,000. Tisha's gonna sell it. Here's a door. Here's a wall. The doors come with knobs. These are stairs. Look at the stairs. Here's a closet. That's the bathroom. That's how she's selling the house. Ciao. She would have done better to call it Marcel's big square box. But, anyway. Tisha is telling Marcel about how everything went down over there at Taco Tuesday. And she said that Kimmy felt away because she wasn't considered as one of the realtors on, this project. And she says she didn't ask Kimmy to be a part of the project because she didn't think Kimmy, wanted to work with her. And I think Kimmy doesn't want to work with her either. So, she was talking about how she thought that her and Kimmy could get together and run a brokerage together. And Kimmy said no, and then went and got her broker's license and did her own thing. Yes. And if I was Tisha, I would just do my own thing. So, Kimmy, you got a lot of nerve, like acting like she owed you something when you don't really like her like that. But I think Kimmy feels that way because Maurice pressured her into letting Marcel be the builder of her restaurant. Well, hell, he's good at making a big square box, but that's on your husband. That's not on them necessarily. Anyway, um, what'd you say? Tisha's working with two of her sorority sisters to sell the house. Tisha ain't working on nothing. She's hoping that them sorority sisters can help her sell the house because she darn sure isn't. And I don't understand why Tisha's always saying she didn't have time. I don't have time to do this. I don't want to do this by myself. But I'm not understanding why that is because, I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why she doesn't want to. Why she doesn't want to do it by herself because she doesn't know how. They kill me acting like they're the big. We're the realtors. We're over here building houses. Ciao. What else was going on over here? Oh, we got Kimmy and Maurice over here. So Kimmy is telling her version of the story. We were over at Taco Tuesday and Destiny was being so defensive. I didn't feel like she was necessarily being defensive, but maybe. So Kimmy has such a way of lying to herself. She over here trying to she goes this roundabout way to avoid saying what things really are. So she's in her avoid the truth manner telling Maurice that Tisha doesn't want Destiny to be friends with Nell. Like, I don't know how long road she got there. I think in the way Tisha recognizes loyalty is for you to maybe not be friends with the people that she's not friends with. Yeah. She doesn't want you to be friends with people she's not friends with. She's childish is what it is. But we gonna frame it in a way that makes Destiny the villain in this story. And Destiny, she played a big part. Like, she started the shit running back and forth. That's what she did. So Destiny, whatever kind of feeling ganged up on you feel right now, you brought it on your damn self. If you're going to be friends with people that don't like each other, you have to take it in and leave it there and lock it in a box and let the person vent and not take it back to the person that she was directly talking about. So Destiny is friends with no one. Just like Marcel said, friends of everyone is friends of no one. Or Destiny just doesn't know how to be a good friend. Well, she ain't friends with neither one of these people for real. And I want you to tell me how I've been friends with somebody long before I knew you. I get to be friends with you. You don't like that person, so I'm supposed to cut them off because you feel some type of way? That doesn't make sense. This is middle school stuff. And that's how she sounded. That's how she sounded telling that story. I don't know. And then I said, Destiny, I put you in the whole box. Like, the way she was standing up there telling Marcel that story, she sounded like a 10th grader for real. That's how I feel it. And Kimmy is over here talking about, Tisha wants you to prove her loyalty, but she won't say it. She said it, not in so many words. I don't remember what you said, but I remember how it made me feel. Like, you girl, shut up. Kimmy says, now this is telling. That's not how she operates as an adult. So even Kimmy thinks that this shit is childish. However, she doesn't have any problem with Tisha not wanting Destiny to be friends with Nell. Why? Because you don't like her? Because, are you an adult or not an adult? Because it doesn't make sense. Whatever had happened over there, Nell didn't do anything to y'all. Y'all were asking her questions she didn't want to answer. She flipped it on y'all. And we all came back this season like, so what the heck? How are they going to, respond to what Martell did? We all said it. Miss Nell was the one that was like, when they come for me, I got something for their ass. And y'all said, no. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Giselle and Robin being mad at Wendy after they came for her. They came for her and she backed their ass off with that, Pastor Jamal. Ooh, Pastor Jamal catching it as he should. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. And Robin Dixon with Juan down to the hotel room, paying for hotel rooms for strangers from Canada. So we were supposed to bring that up. Robin, we already dissolved. Everything was figured out. We didn't need to talk about it anymore. So that's what they're saying, Kimmy and Tisha. I mean, yeah, they over here. We already discussed it. We don't need to bring it up. We did a live already. And so, yeah, Miss Nell brought it up. And y'all are mad at her for no reason. I feel like Miss Nell is like a softie at heart. And when she be popping off, just give her a hug. Tell her, be quiet. Girl, shh, relax. I hear you. Just stroke her a little bit, calm her down. Yeah, I don't see that she's done anything worthy of all this hate. It's wild to me. They've done more to each other, if you want to be honest. But yeah, she doesn't like nails, so she's fine with it. Which, Kimmy, that makes you just as childish. I'm just saying. So not Whithall. Do y'all like that AstroTurf down to Whithall? That house gonna be sitting there just like, how come they can't even rent out that freaking office space for $1,500 a month? What are you doing with it? It just doesn't make sense. I feel like anybody, is a podcaster or got something going on, but maybe it feels like, Marcel's design aesthetic is not, something people probably walk in and be like, I don't really want this marble all over everything. But, he thinks he's creating luxuriousness. It's just a box. It doesn't look warm. It doesn't look, it's not staged. So I don't know who tries to sell a $600,000 home without any staging. And that grass took $100,000 off of the value. If you ask me, get that grass out of there, AstroTurf inside the house. Marcel told her, you're 43. It is what it is, girl. Y'all going back and forth. And then he tried to use Martell as a comparison. That's just like with Martell. I was telling Maurice about Martell. And I don't feel like that correlates, honestly. Martell is somebody who you did dirt with, and he's blackmailing you. And Martell came over here in his feelings because y'all made a fool out of him over here on this show. And he was like, I'm tired of being the butt of y'all's jokes, so I'm going to start telling y'all's business. This one over here is just like, I don't like Nell because she brought up some shit that y'all did that embarrassed us. And we don't want to talk about it. So we hate Nell. All of y'all are immature. Tisha tells Marcel about, they're going to hold Destiny's hand in Detroit when she goes to meet her siblings. And he's like, you're going on a trip with the girl that you put in I don't trust that whole box. And yeah, exactly. I'm with Marcel. Like, you're doing too much. But, this is for the show. So field trip to Detroit. I don't want to go with them to Detroit. I want to go with somebody else that knows, all the good stuff to do. We're going to go meet, Pontiac mama and daddy and, family. That's not the same thing. I'm not going to waste any time with this. Maurice made a meeting with his brothers to make fun of Kimmy's feelings. But it's fine. Kimmy said so because he's not being mean. He just thinks he's funny. Is this the same brother that was over there trying to make a move on Melanie's mama? Look at that there. I don't need any of it. Y'all can leave Micah where the hell he is. Micah is like a fusion of Maurice and Marcel. We don't want it. Ugh. Stop it. They know better than Bessemer. That's how I look at it, child. I really don't like. No, you don't like the AstroTurf in the square box house. It looks silly, doesn't it? You can buy sod. That's what you're supposed to do. When you build a house, aren't you supposed to buy sod? Oh, this is the other brother. Okay. And we don't want him either. Well, Micah, now he's going to law school, or is he the one that was building the office? Is he in construction too? I don't know. All I know is I don't care. that y'all don't have to bring Micah over here. And then I'm like, y'all, it's just an opportunity, like I said, for Maurice to make a fool out of Kimmy. Y'all over here laughing, talking about uh, she wants me to like put on construction boots. I'm not about to do that. Micah, trying to explain like what she really wants. I'm gonna like video record her. That's so lame. And I can't stand when stupid dudes sit around talking about, what women want. They don't know what women want. He was the one that helping build the office. Okay. I couldn't tell. They start blending all together. I know there's a bunch of them. So maybe Micah Wizard, is he the same one? He has a wife too. I know he's come to dinner parties and things, and he generally conducts himself as somebody with good sense. So, there's so many of these brothers. I don't know which one is which. I just know what these two clowns look like. What's the name? Marcel didn't even know why he was over there. So, don't none of these people brothers look alike? You don't think that Micah is a fusion of Maurice and Marcel's face? Hey, Tina. I think they, to me, when I look at Micah, I see Marceau in the mouth and I see Maurice's beady eyes. That's what I see. So, yeah. But there's a bunch of them. Anyway, I got a lot of feelings about this. This man here, he hates her. Look how he's looking at her. This man here is, I'm going to say abusive. That's what I see. That's what I see in him. It's been there the whole time. I feel like everybody peeped it. They didn't want to say it, but here he is showing us all exactly who he is. And he came over here in this relationship with this woman who had just suffered all these losses. He knows this. He knows that she lost 3 family members back to back, and her husband abandoned her. So here he is slipping up in the DMs looking for a vulnerable woman with a mortgage because he don't have nowhere to stay. And he drives trucks. So, he's got money. I mean, I don't want to say he's got money. He makes decent money, I think. But he doesn't have nothing on his own. And then he drives around in that Corvette. I would love to watch him try to get his big ass up out of that low car. But yeah, this woman was vulnerable with him, and now he's like using it to attack her. It was really like hard to watch for me. I feel like Trish came over here and she felt, I think, good about how things went with her and Dr. Francis the first time she came over here. She was in this energy where she's trying to be positive about things because I feel like, wanted this dude, Ken, to somehow have the same reaction. Ken came in there determined to, come for her as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I think she's proud of herself. She's been trying to implement some of the things that she's learned from Dr. Francis. And, that's, I feel like, why she came in the room with such positive energy. And then his energy was so opposite of hers because he was prepared to tear her down. He sat down like mopey. Hey, he didn't shake the man's hand like, this is my first time meeting you. Nice to meet you. He came in there and shook his hand like, hey, something's wrong. Let's get it because this is what I came to do. Tear this lady down. Ken is a Scorpio. If it's not about him, if she's focusing on her, and to top it off, her kid was in an accident. You know what I'm saying? This girl, like, can you imagine going through what she's gone through and then have your child be in such a horrible accident, and now this nigga wants her to cater to his feelings? I don't know that she can mentally. That's why I say he doesn't need to be there. I feel like she needed to like just get with Dr. Francis and help her get through, her grief. Because I don't know that she's actually got through it. Trish said she put herself in a box, and she's talking about when, after things happened and when they first met. She says she put herself in a box, probably to protect herself. We say that, in a box, build a wall, closed off. We can use many terms as far as that's concerned. But she says she tipped out a little bit to test the water and see if it was safe. And some of the things that Ken was doing felt familiar, so she retreated back into that box. She did not feel safe any longer. And I 100% could see it. I could see it. I could see it. She said he would accuse her of cheating. And Trish was over there at Martell's house. I feel like, though, maybe, he was moving in this way that she was his possession, and she kind of probably just let it happen. That's why she's in this relationship with this man, and you've been depressed and let down. And Marquez Marquez went to Atlanta. He bounced. So she's there trying to figure out her emotions and things. This man has been flirting with her the whole time. I'm not saying she's innocent. I'm just kind of trying to see like what her frame of mind was when this man moved in on her. And he took advantage of her in a vulnerable position. She said his questions were accusatory. And I feel like men absolutely, like Ken, they ask accusatory questions. Ken is in his feelings because the public clowned him and he doesn't like it. And so now he's turning on her. He's the one that wanted to be on this show. He brought her over here. When she's filming, she still is like in this nervous energy where her voice is trembling and she doesn't seem comfortable most of the time. Even with talking with Destiny, is because these people are not her friends. She's in a box. And I don't mean just for her relationship, everyone. She's testing the waters with everyone. She see how these women move, going back and forth with each other. That don't feel like no safe friendship. The only time you see her really like comfortable, from what I can see, is with her real girlfriend Sharon. That's why she brings Sharon over here, because that's the only person, and Sharon kind of like, she's not this friend that's like, girl, you need to leave that man. I think most of the interactions that we've seen with Sharon and Trish is Sharon being concerned about her friend's feelings, not so much, about Ken's feelings. And she probably doesn't know like all the ins and outs. You know what I'm saying? Private people are private people. So even Sharon probably is limited with information. But I'm not that person either. Like, unless you said, he punched me in the face, and I'm going to say, then what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? But I don't believe in like trying to talk people out of their relationship. Everybody has to go through and get to a place, on their own. But Ken came over here with this vulnerable woman, and you got into a relationship with a woman with children. So now he wants to bring Marquez Marquez back into the scenario. You said he wasn't there. Marquez Marquez doesn't step up to the plate. He's not there. I'm their father figure. I'm the one that they want to like do things with, so then how all of a sudden is he the problem? I'm not understanding. You have a relationship with a woman that has 2 children. So their father, like, however he shows up, that's how you're going to have to deal with it. When people are like, do you have a toxic baby daddy? Some people do. Now, do you want to be with her? Because if you're going to choose her, then you're going to have to deal with whatever Marquez Marquez is bringing over there. And you were saying that shit straight to his face. You over there. Now, back to the house. Because remember, Ken doesn't live in the house. He said he went to stay with Will, and now he has an apartment. So, y'all, we're not married. Whose house is this? Because when you met Trish, she had a house. Marquez Marquez helped her get that house. So when she sold her house, is that how she got the new one? And y'all were sharing finances, or you walking around there, paying for things, this is my house, my house, my house. You invited the man over there and welcome to my house and my kids. And Marquez Marquez said, and I'm the daddy. So we're not going to erase me like you're trying to do. You threw it in his face every chance you get, how he is not stepping up to the plate. And these kids, they're your kids, but I'm here doing the day-to-day work. I'm doing the heavy work. I'm the one here, for these kids, take care of these kids. That was, Ken last season. This season now, all of a sudden, everything is, not good. Only problem we had was Marquez. Now he's gone and he's a problem. But what happened was you kept throwing that stuff in his face. And the mosquito came over here to the court and said, he don't feel comfortable. He got a young daughter in that house. And the judge said, you cannot live in that house. And what did you do? You put your hands on that man when he dropped his daughter off. We all saw it. And I'm sure the judge saw it in court. You let that man come over there and get under your skin. You put your hands on him. And now you have to live with your friend. And this lady is in her house. And you've been like, we're getting married. We're getting married. We're getting married. And she never once, not once, did Trisha act excited about getting married to this man. She was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, she didn't want it. So you did her a favor because now she's over there in that lovely house with her children, probably at peace, because that's what she needs. Some peace and quiet and figure herself out. And she could slide over and slide wherever she want to slide to without being in a relationship. Trisha, when you're single, you can slide and do whatever sliding you want to do. I don't know what's going on with Marquez, but I don't blame him. You're not about to keep throwing shit up in my face, acting like, you doing the most when you're not. And even her son alluded to the fact that they arguing all the time. So that's not healthy for the kids. Ken, Mr. I'm the perfect guy. Mr. Perfect got too cocky, and Marquez handled that for you. He sat up there, Ken. He told Dr. Francis, he said, some people enjoy the attention they get from having trauma. That's how he played her. He's saying that she enjoys the attention that, from the trauma that she's been through. And I'm like, how? Because she isn't talking. Like, even when she is talking, her jaws are all clenched up. She can't get a thought out. Like, her emotions take over where her words don't even come out. So, Ken, you showed yourself. He's so worked up. You just met Dr. Francis. You worked up. You throwing your muscles around. Dr. Francis is sitting there like, what the hell? Trisha's like, it's fine. He's fine. Ken is fine, but the relationship is not good. I don't even know how you explain that, Trisha. He said, I just asked you simple questions. And I tell you what, whenever a man says, I'm just asking a simple question, I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. When a man says, I'm just asking you a simple question, that's the setup. The gaslight has been turned on because the questions are never simple. She said, Ken, be listening in the background and trying to use the background noise as an excuse to accuse her of cheating. That's the controlling behavior. That's the gaslighting of it all. That's the accusation in the question, Ken. What is that noise in the background? She's in the gym. So now you're away and you slid up in her DMs, but the circumstances were different, I think, maybe because of, her mentality. Now she's not happy with you. Are you worried somebody is going to come in, in your spot? And I don't know what this lady be doing. I'm not saying she is. I don't know. What I do know is those are the accusatory questions that comes from a toxic man in a toxic relationship. Anytime somebody says it's just a simple question, it's absolutely not. It's absolutely not. And everything is not black and white. You sometimes can't answer a question with a yes or no. And listening into the background, who is that talking? It's the TV, nigga. She said he comes and pulls the covers. Somebody's been in the bed. That's a fearful place to be in. And it explains her energy. This big old dude coming in with all that aggression, he couldn't hold it together in Dr. Francis' office. You think he'd be in the house holding it together? I don't. I think he is intimidating. I think he is aggressive. He showed it today. I think he's mentally abusive for him to sit up there and say she enjoys the attention she gets from her trauma. That was some low down. That's something like, so you want me to be vulnerable to you. I share the things and the feelings that I've been going through, and you go ahead and, turn on me and say I enjoy the attention. And the whole who's in the background thing, and I want to be on FaceTime. That's the same thing Glendale was doing over on Bell Collective. And always, like, I feel like if you're that easily amped up, then you're just that easily amped up. And so Trish and Leticia, now we can say what we want to say about Marceau, but I haven't seen him behave like this, or Maurice. These two, Glendale from Bell Collective and Ken, they are physically aggressive. And I don't think that changes, especially when you're questioning your person and accusing them of cheating. So, then you get into a place where you're trying to defend stuff that didn't even happen. And that will drive you crazy and put your ass dead into a box. She said she exposed him. I don't think he thought she was going to do that when she said, you come home and you pull the covers back and you say somebody's been sleeping in the bed. And that's psychological abuse. It really is. And she told it, and then all he could do, oh my God, she's a lie. She's a pathological liar. All of a sudden, she's a pathological liar. And I hope Dr. Francis calls him out. I hope that's what we see next week. I hope Dr. Francis, Judge Mathis, his ass, let him get it all out, and then let him know, he'll do it gently. He won't get it over here. He's looking in the ceiling. Liars always looking in the ceiling when they're lying. As soon as somebody starts lying, oh my God, I can't even believe. Yeah, I think he's the liar. And I think he's too aggressive. And I'm not saying he put hands on that lady necessarily, because she hasn't said that. But I do believe he uses his physicality to be intimidating. Punching walls and stuff. That's what it's giving. He's always talking about, I'm a calm guy. I can't tell. So, I mean, like I said, this to me explains why she was in no rush to get a divorce, because it kept her from being attached to this man. I think she was hoping he would leave before it got to that. So next week, we'll see. It seems like he'll be still playing in our face next week. And Destiny will be meeting her mom. Like I said, I'm here for the meeting of her family. I mean, if she gonna show it, here we will be. But I don't like the idea of drug addicted people being, put on a reality show, because they're not making, what did they say? They're not making decisions, at their own will, or somehow they say it. Anyway, and then we meet Pop Scott, and he's pissed, but he's good. Yeah. It's more of these Scotch, child, straight from Pontiac. Anyway, y'all, like the video, subscribe to the channel. That's where they left us this week, and we'll be back next week. I will see y'all tomorrow morning for Coffee Talk. In the meantime, yeah, I'll see you when I see you. Bye, y'all.